Hi there, Fallout fans, and welcome to the first installment of my video series about settlements in Fallout 4. My name is Seth, and in each of these videos I'll be covering a different settlement. I'll show you some examples of things you can build, and give you a few tips about using the building system. I'll show you how to manage your settlements efficiently, and how to avoid getting overwhelmed with settlement-related quests. With the help of my character Dan, we'll go on a tour of the 31 unlockable workbench settlements of the Commonwealth. Spoiler alert, Dan has completed the game for the Minutemen faction and completed the Automatron DLC, so we may be seeing and talking about some of the post-game content and mainline quests, but mostly in relation to settlements, so I'll try not to spoil anything too much. We'll start with Sanctuary and an overview of the build system. This is Sanctuary, which is the first settlement you're probably going to unlock in the game. You can do that right after you come out of the vault. And if you just head over to your old house, you'll find Codsworth, and Codsworth will suggest clearing out the bugs in some of these houses. After you do that and all the bugs are dead, you can come over here and use this workshop. And then you'll notice that you can kind of scroll around through these different categories of things. Scroll up to select subcategories and finally objects. There's objects that snap to other objects in some ways, and there's objects that just free to be placed or only snap to the ground. So we're going to look first just at some of these structures. One of the things you'll notice is that they take resources. This wall takes 3 wood and 4 steel to build. And if you haven't scrapped anything yet in Sanctuary, you're not going to have the resources to build that, so it pays before you do anything else to maybe run around and scrap some of the things. Like you'll find a ruined house here you can scrap, and some little bits of housing panels and things you can scrap. There's a lot of trees you can scrap for wood. You can scrap these fences. Don't get very much for them. You can also pick them up and move them around. And you'll see these fences snap to the posts. Now, there's a lot of stuff in Sanctuary, so you're going to want to look in all these buildings and scrap all the things that are inside them. Clear out some floor space, because inside is a good place to build beds, or if you want to conserve resources, you can use these sleeping bags, and the settlers consider them just as good as beds. There's no difference in happiness for the sleeping arrangements. After you've scrapped everything, you maybe want to build something and play around. So I'll show you a little bit about how the structures work. There's prefabs, metal and wooden prefabs that snap together and provide a floor and a roof. But you can also build more freeform things using floors, like some with foundations that can clip into the ground. With stairs built in, and smaller pieces, and with walls, some different kinds of stairs, and some miscellaneous things, which a bridge here. These will snap to wall floors as well. So if you build a floor, the walls will snap to it, and you'll notice that walls have an inside and an outside, even the ones that don't look like it. This is the outside of the wall, and the inside wants to snap to the floor. You'll also notice that there are two different kinds of walls. We'll build this one, and then this one. You can see that this wall is taller than this wall. It has a piece that extends below the level of this wall, and a piece that extends above it. Let's look at roofs. Simple flat roof. And it'll snap to either of these. Even though this doesn't have the piece above, it'll still snap, and it'll look seamless because it's just snapping kind of to the edge there. They will not snap on this side. And I'll show you another difference between the two types of walls. We'll put one here and one here. And you'll see that we can snap an additional piece because it's snapping to the roof. And we could put one on either side, even though there's no wall to support it. Now there's a roof to support it, so that's a valid placement. And this is a valid placement. But over here, it's not, because that upper piece gets in the way of it snapping with the roof it's next to. So, let me show you a little trick. We can put these away and save them for later. And if you scrap them instead, you'll get maybe half the resources back. But if you put them away, you can just use them again later. They're stored virtually in the workbench. When we look, this shows us that we have one of these walls in storage. And if I place this, I won't get experience for it because I didn't just build it. But it's a good way to conserve resources. This is a little tower that I've built that shows how you can do a staircase with these smaller pieces that fits in one unit. It has both an upstairs and a downstairs. Also demonstrates how you can narrow the profile of a tower as you go up. I'm going to show you another building over here. This is a little building I built as a powerhouse for generators to keep the noisy generators away from where people live. Little power armor garage, little place to work. And you can see that it's 2 stories tall here without any floors. It's a nice tall area that you can put something like these larger generators. I've used this down here as well in this little inn I've built. There's a common room with a bar, and it's nice and tall, and it's got a little balcony overlooking, and then some rooms
so much
for guests to sleep in.
That place is nothing but trouble.
Lounge, more rooms. And I'll show you how to build taller structures like this that are open on the inside, because the walls won't snap vertically on their own. And if you use these small walls, there'll be a gap. But if you use these larger walls and you place it on one of these floors, that's the upper level floors that snaps in both directions, then a wall will snap here. You can extend these as far out as you want without an additional floor because they're now snapping to the walls. However, if you want to change directions, make a corner, you'll need the floor piece there to do it because they will not snap at an angle to these walls. They will snap to the floor. So I'm going to build a little corner here, and then I'm going to take this one and move it up. I could repeat the process going up as high as I wanted to or could reach. It's a little trick for reaching higher places. You can snap these ladders together and then move them all as a piece. When you hold down the select key, it selects everything connected, and you can then move this piece. It will not snap this composite object you're moving together, but you can place it next to something. can get up there to build more if you wanted to. And then store these in the workshop to use later. You can also pick up big pieces like this, composite pieces. They will get not just connected things though, also things that are nearby. So if I set this down over here and try to pick it up, it'll pick up the whole thing. And I probably just dropped some settlers down a flight of stairs. So we'll just put these away for now. And I'll show you a few points of interest around Sanctuary. This is, enemies will attack over this bridge. If you have settlers here, you can get a defense quest to come defend the location from attack. Enemies will spawn over the bridge. Over this bridge that you came in from. And up here, behind this blue house. And when they do, you want to kill them all, or the settlement potentially will be damaged. If you come, or if you fail to come, the settlement after a quest, a certain time period, it'll say you failed the quest, and when you next go there, you'll see some damage to things. Before you go there, also you'll see in the pinpoint, when you look at it, it'll show 0 as the population. They've been run off. They haven't been killed. They've just been run off. When you go there, they'll come back, and you may need to fix some things, crops or turrets that were destroyed in the attack. So it's good to remember where enemies come from, so you can build effective defenses. Walls aren't really effective because you want to kill the enemies, not keep them out. Keeping them out doesn't do anything in the game terms. If you want to build them for looks, that's great, but the walls do get in the way of a good field of fire, and you just seeing where the enemies are. So it makes it take longer to actually complete the defense quests, and I recommend against using walls except for looks. Or maybe in a smaller settlement. Although I really recommend building more of a blockhouse type of structure in the smaller settlements for your settlers to live in and to have a defensive platform in place of turrets at the top. Kind of like what I've done here. So that's Sanctuary. I guess I should show you another thing over here. There's a chem workbench. It's behind this house, I believe, or this house. I think it's this one. You can pick it up and move it, which is what I've done. Moved it over towards where the fast travel point is, towards where the workbench is and the other workbenches are. And there's a cooking work station right here, a campfire, that you can also pick up and move. So you've got these in a more convenient location over here. And Sanctuary starts with all of the different kinds of crafting benches, so you can start experimenting with crafting without being able to build those sorts of things yourself, which you won't be able to do until level 14. You get the second rank of the local leader perk unlocks. So this is a good location for a base because it has all of those workstations, those workbenches. Now, it doesn't have any inhabitants to start out with, but if you do follow Cosworth's advice and go down to Concord, you'll meet some folks who will eventually end up coming back here, and they will have inhabitants at that point. So, if you like your privacy, you might want to use Red Rocket Truck Stop, which we'll look at in the next video.